Devi Gaura Nevasisha Sunyavari Pashtakara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we are on text 4, as we mentioned.
Yep.
Perhaps I just read the verse, and then our mother Labanga's got her hand up first, so she can read first. And the last verse, verse 3, long purple, the items favorable for devotional service. And now Swami seems to be explaining here, as Prabhupada will explain in the purple, what it means to associate with devotees of the Lord. So some nice details are given of how Vaishnavas associate with each other. And I was reading earlier today that Prabhupada's quoting this verse as, we know it's exchanges of love. Yeah, exchanges of love between people in general. This is seen in people in general to some degree, but specifically amongst Vaishnavas. So let's read the verse, text 4. You have to excuse me, I might be breaking out in the sneezing fit today. I've got a bit of hay fever is getting at me today, so if I sneeze 10 times, don't worry. It's just a hay fever. Okay. Tati patikananati goyam akyati prichati punkte bodhayate cheva sadvidham pritilakshanam. Okay, I'll read the translation. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and other prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So then, Mother Lavanga, you can read, followed by Sumultara Radhika. Here's the hand, you can read after that.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yeah, at the beginning of the purport.
Okay, thank you. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami explains how to perform devotional activities in the association of other devotees. There are 6 kinds of activities. 1, giving to the devotees. 2, accepting from the devotees whatever they offer in return. 3, opening one's mind to the devotees. 4, inquiring from them about the confidential service of the Lord. 5, honoring prasadam or spiritual food given by the devotees. And 6, feeding the devotees with prasadam. An experienced devotee explains, and an inexperienced devotee learns from him. This is Guyam Akyati Prichati. When a devotee distributes prasadam, remnants of food offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to maintain our spirit of devotional service, we must accept this prasadam as the Lord's grace, received through the pure devotees. We should also invite pure devotees to our home, offer them prasadam, and be prepared to please them in all respects. This is called Bungde Bojayate Chaiva. Even in ordinary social activities, these 6 types of dealings between 2 loving friends are absolutely necessary. For instance, when one businessman wishes to contact another businessman, he arranges a feast in a hotel and over the feast openly expresses what he wishes to. He then inquires from his business friend how he should act, and sometimes presents are exchanged. Thus, whenever there is a dealing of pretty or in interdealings, these 6 activities are executed. In the previous verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advised that one should renounce worldly association and keep company with the devotees. Sangha Tyagat Satorite. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been established to facilitate these 6 loving exchanges between devotees. This society was started single-handedly, but because people are coming forward and dealing with the give and take policy, the society is now expanding all over the world. We are glad that people are donating very liberally to the development of the society's activities and people are also eagerly accepting whatever humble contribution we are giving them in the shape of books and magazines, dealing strictly with the subject matter of Krishna consciousness. We sometimes hold Hare Krishna festivals and invite life members and friends to participate in the feasting by accepting prasadam. Although most of our members come from the higher rungs of society, they nonetheless come and take whatever little prasadam we are able to offer them. Sometimes the members and supporters inquire very confidentially about the methods of performing devotional service, and we try to explain this. In this way, our society is successfully spreading all over the world, and the intelligentsia of all countries is gradually appreciating our Krishna conscious activities. The life of the Krishna conscious society is nourished by these six types of loving exchanges among its members. Therefore, people must be given the chance to associate with the devotees of ISKCON, because simply by reciprocating in the six ways mentioned above, an ordinary man can fully revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita 262, it is stated, Sangat Sanjayate Kama. One's desires and ambitions develop according to the company one keeps. It is often said that a man is known by his company, and if an ordinary man associates with devotees, he will certainly develop his dormant Krishna consciousness. This understanding of Krishna consciousness is innate in every living entity, and it is already developed to some extent when the living entity takes a human body. It is said in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22:107, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajika Bunaya Shravanadi Sudachita Karai. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, the living entity naturally awakens. Since Krishna consciousness is inherent in every living entity, everyone should be given a chance to hear about Krishna. Simply by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam, one's heart is directly purified and one's original Krishna consciousness is immediately awakened. Krishna consciousness is not artificially imposed upon the heart, it is already there. When one chants the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the heart is cleansed of all mundane contamination. In the first stanza of the Sri Suktastika, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto
Perhaps
Darpan
we'll just
Marjan.
pause there. Perhaps we'll just pause there.
Yeah.
Next verse we can read that translation to the first verse of the Shik Ashtaka. So, any reflections on this? Yeah.
Basically, we just have to associate with devotees, have that association like distributing prasad, feeding them, or you going, all sorts of things like that. Be in the company of devotees.
Yeah, it's actually these these things please Krishna because the devotees are very dear to Krishna. So by having these interactions with the devotees, we actually become Krishna conscious. It sounds almost too simple, isn't it? We're we want to be conscious of Krishna, but what Prabhupada's saying, or what Rupa Goswami is saying here, that we just have to look around us and how are we dealing with the Vaishnavas around us? How are we dealing with the devotees? Yeah, um, and we should do it in a loving way. And Prabhupada says, he says, in that way we can be Krishna conscious. Yeah, it's quite simple, isn't it? Because we're quite. I mean, this is our culture. So hopefully, this is our culture.
I was just thinking about the person, like from yesterday, talking about the Samvit and Sandini Shaktis and very high philosophy, for
Yeah, high
the
fluting philosophy.
intelligence.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh, just share prasadam and you will become Krishna conscious by that alone.
Yeah. Prabhupada would often speak like that. Just by chanting the holy name, you become Krishna conscious. Just by taking prasad, you become Krishna conscious. Just by reading one word of Bhagavad Gita, you become Krishna conscious. I mean, yeah, that's the potency of bhakti and the activities of bhakti. If you're engaging them, in the right way, then you can become Krishna conscious. We can become, Krishna will reveal himself to us.
But when Prabhupada says it, because to him it's easy because he's Uttam Sloka War, he's really high. So when he says he's just reading one slok or just chanting one word purely, yes, it's all like okay for him. But for us, we have to work hard to get to that chanting properly once or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's why I was speaking in that vein, in that regard, Prabhupada often, because that's his experience. But still,
Yeah,
he does give us and he does lay out all the details of devotional practice. I mean, he spent practically his whole life writing books for us to actually
yeah.
study the science of devotion. He translated the whole of the Srimad Bhagavatam with detailed explanations of the philosophy for us to make use of. And he expected and he wanted his disciples to also read his books as well to further enhance their Krishna consciousness.
My take on that, Prabhu, is the most important thing, like we all know, is the association, because it says a man is known by the company he keeps.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, I mean, just to give you an example, there's this young kid whom I met years ago in Vrindavan. He's here now in London. Met him yesterday at the temple. And my first question is, how's the chanting going on? Oh, Mataji, it's not so good. I said, every single time I see you, you say the same thing. And why is that? And so it is. And then he came up. He says, I don't meet the devotees enough. I don't make an effort of coming here. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is saying. It's the company we keep. Because no
Yeah.
matter, even amongst devotees, I think 85% of the time we will talk some way or the other about Krishna. 10% will be gossip and 5% will be something else, how things are going. But it's an improvement. That's the only way. So if Srila Prabhupada is indicating it's not difficult, it isn't, provided we follow the path of keeping the association, which actually binds us together.
Yeah, very nicely put and very nice kind of observation of this young devotee who you met in Vrindavan, saying that, and he puts it down to not associating enough with
Yeah.
devotees. Yeah, I mean, this was mentioned in the previous verse, wasn't it? In the previous two verses, one should associate with devotees, one should not associate with non-devotees. And here it seems to be coming across again the the importance of it. Yeah, so yeah, we can perhaps we might um, so we might underestimate. I guess we can probably say that the only reason we're here now practicing Krishna consciousness is because we've had the association of devotees,
Yeah.
and we are continuing to associate with devotees. So whenever we can get that association, we should take it up as much as possible. And this seems to be from here. This is Prabhupada speaking about the greater ISKCON and say the temples, and he mentions the Sunday feast, which thankfully is coming back soon after being gone due to COVID and other reasons. So this is what Prabhupada, this is what I remember Nectar of Instruction about. Prabhupada really emphasizes these ISKCON societies creating this means to have these loving exchanges with devotees. And now,
Two things Srila Prabhupada always emphasized was association and cooperation. Two things
yeah,
are the main ingredient, and this is what we're trying. And the way I see it, I'm talking about myself. We're still in this three modes. It's not easy, but the more we mix with devotees, especially someone who's a bit more, not age-wise, but senior to me, it helps.
yeah, that's the principle. That's the main principle of associating with devotees. Actually, is that we associated with, for instance, we hear from seniors, but also associating with peers is also very important as well. We got like-minded persons as well who we can
Yeah,
share our struggles with,
yeah,
share our victories with. But actually, it does mean association means we associate with Vaishnavas who can elevate us through their instructions and also their example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
That's,
about positive energy? Like with devotees, you have like that energy, with others, you would like have pull you down.
yeah. I mean, I said, yeah, that's what, but sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes devotees have trouble associating with devotees for like one reason or another, due to misunderstandings, some misgivings. So sometimes it can create problems. Yeah, it doesn't mean we should not, but the point is, doesn't mean we should not associate with devotees. I'm just trying to say it, but we have to work at it. We have to learn to associate with devotees. And I think Prabhupada was reading somewhere earlier here. Yeah, later on, I think Prabhupada mentions that this is for Madhyamadikaris. We have Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam. So Madhyam, one of the aspects of a Madhyama is that they befriend devotees, is that they have deep friendship with devotees. Yeah. But Kanishta, Kanishta means they don't know how to, or they don't know how to, one, they don't know how to appreciate, or they don't even know who is a senior to them, and they don't know how to appreciate devotee association. Kanishta. So therefore, they're prone to make offenses in the sangha of devotees. But madhyams, then they create deep friendships with each other. Madhyamadikari. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I know I always tend to have. Sometimes I have positive memories and negative memories, but look at it in a positive light. I know there's one devotee going through a bit of, having some trials and some tests within the temple in regards to having not so good relationships with devotees who are managing the temple. I won't go into details, but this devotee was unfortunately expressing relief to get to go out and deal with non-devotees. Unfortunately.
That's the Prabhu, that is the failure of senior devotees then.
Well,
No, it is, because I think our egos come in. Why should I bother with them? They're not trying hard enough. If we're trying to take that path, I mean, I'll give you another example for my own thing. That I
sure.
used to travel with this devotee a lot, and it was not easy traveling with this person. But then I came to realize, I think Krishna is trying to tell me, get off your high horse and understand that she is a devotee, and I'm serving this devotee in my own humble way. So that comes if you're actually seriously wanting to move forward.
Yeah.
It's like holding a child, and the mother tries to make the child walk. At some point, she has to let the hand go.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was bringing that point up more in regards to better than going outside devotees, better is to learn what is described here as revealing one's mind
Yes.
to devotees. Now, it doesn't mean revealing your mind to anyone and everyone amongst devotees. It should be, devotees you respect and trust, but rather than kind of going away from devotee association. If there's trouble, if we're having some friction amongst devotee sangha, we should be able to reveal our mind to someone and to seek shelter from devotees in the particular difficulty that they're dealing with. I'm just saying how it got in that instance, it got to the extreme where this devotee became averse to devotees,
Yeah, but then in the same way, Prabhu, like this young person that I was talking to yesterday, I mean, I haven't given up on him, and I won't give up on him.
No, you're like his.
No, I will not, because every time I see him, it's like a mother figure or grandma figure, whichever it is. I just told him, next time I see you, I'll just whack you one if I hear the same story again. Because, I mean, I was giving him some examples. You have to make an effort. You can't just say, oh, Mataji, you know, it's so difficult. My business is this. Forget it. Nothing will happen without the sanction of Radha Landanishwara.
Yeah.
And association of, I actually have coming to a point where I'm realizing that devotees are so important in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess one has to
And
nurture them like a child.
yeah, and the more we appreciate that, the more we can make advancement.
Anyway, that's my
You know, no, nice you're giving your association to this younger devotee and motherly instructing him and encouraging him. Very nice, you know. So, we could expand quite a bit on a lot of these points here, but unless there's any other questions or comments, we can, because Prabhupada does go on to expand these points again in this purple, but yeah, okay, let's read on. I think who was next? Sumudara Radhika.
Krishna,
Yeah, you can read Mother from the translation of Jetothapanam.
Devotodara Paramajanam, Gavamahadavarninirvatam, Devahapamavachandri, Utaranam Vidyavadhujivanam, Anandam Buddhivardhanam, Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam, Sarvatma Snapanam Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. More glory to Krishna Sankirtanam, which cleanses the heart of all the accumulated years and extinguishes the fire of conditional love, and repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the grand benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction Lord. It is the
not
life
very clear, Prabhu.
Yeah, your voice is not so good. I
Not
don't know if
very
you can move
clear.
closer to the microphone or if there's anything you can do at your end.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
better.
Yeah.
That's better, yes.
Should I start again?
No, carry on.
It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Not only is the chanter of the Mahamantra purified, but the heart of anyone who happens to hear the transcendental vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Hare.
is also cleansed. Even the souls embodied in lower animals, insects, trees, and other species of life also become purified and prepared to become fully Krishna conscious simply by hearing the transcendental vibration. This was explained by Thakur Haridas when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from him how living entities lower than human beings can be delivered from material bondage. Haridas Thakur said that the chanting of the holy names is so powerful that even if one chants in the remotest parts of the jungle, the trees and animals will advance in Krishna consciousness simply by hearing the vibration. This was actually proved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself when he passed through the forest of Jarikanda. At that time, the tigers, snakes, deer, and all other animals abandoned their natural animosity and began chanting and dancing in Sankirtana. Of course, we cannot imitate the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but we should follow in his footsteps. We are not powerful enough to enchant the lower animals such as tigers, snakes, cats, and dogs, or entice them to dance. But by chanting the holy names of the Lord, we can actually convert many people throughout the world to Krishna consciousness. Contributing or distributing the holy name of the Lord is a sublime example of contributing or giving charity, the Dadati principle. By the same token, one must also follow the Pratigrinati principle and be willing and ready to receive the transcendental gift. One should inquire about the Krishna consciousness movement and open his mind in order to understand the situation of this material world. Thus, the Guyam Akyati Prachati principles can be served.
Okay, perhaps we'll pause there, because then Prabhupada will next speak about the culture of Prasadam, giving and receiving Prasad, which are one of our favorite subjects. But yeah, so Prabhupada, can we summarize what Prabhupada's saying in this paragraph here? I was just looking back at how Prabhupada's now speaking about chanting the holy name and Sankirtan. He was speaking about, just going back, um, one's desires and ambitions develop according to the company one keeps. Yeah, so that's quite a deep statement, isn't it? So the desires and ambitions for Krishna will manifest if you associate with devotees. So he speaks like that. And he speaks about if a man is known by the company he keeps, he will develop his dormant Krishna consciousness. Now, then Prabhupada then speaks about what is Krishna consciousness, you know, and he explains that it's eternally situated within everyone's heart. So it seems like he goes in another direction here. He's speaking about the Krishna consciousness, what it is, and it's situated in the heart. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadakabanoy. Yeah, and it has to, and so that seems to indicate that Prabhupada is, what Prabhupada is saying here is that associating with devotees, then that a natural Krishna consciousness will be evoked. So then he's speaking about, then he quotes the first verse of Shastakam, the glories of the holy name, and he speaks about chanting. Um, and he speaks about the potency of chanting, even the souls embodied in lower animals, insects, and trees can become purified. Then he gives the example of what is it of Lord Chaitanya in Jarikanda forest. Yeah, okay. Says, of course, we cannot imitate Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are not powerful enough. So these kind of seem to go in a different direction. And then he says, yeah, so this, what is this? Goyam akati prichati. Let me just go to the verse. Goyam prakriti ichati is actually the sharing of Krishna consciousness. Yeah, so that's the charity. Yeah, that's the point. But that's what you understand. This is the charity part. That what do we have to give people? What do we have to give society? Yeah, not much materially, but spiritually we can give them Krishna. So that's the perfection of the giving. It seems to be, if I've understood it right, giving gifts in charity. It seems that Prabhupada is explaining that this is what this is. Giving, the greatest gift you can give is the gift that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave.
The holy name.
Yeah, it's the greatest gift you can give to someone.
Or prasad.
Yeah, so imagine if, just imagine it, if you're like, you're promising, you should promise, you know, someone's birthday's coming up, your son or your daughter or relative, and you say, I'm really going to give you a really special gift this year. It's going to be really special, and I want you to be ready for it. So they're going to get all excited, no? Like there's, yeah, it's naturally going to be thinking about it. What's coming? Like just at the moment, Nishinkavacha sent me something in the post, but he hasn't told me what it is. So every day I'm looking out for it to come. I'm kind of quite curious and excited as well, in one sense. But so imagine if then it comes to the birthday, and then you come and you give them japa beads. And you give them, this is my dear son, this is the greatest gift that I can give you as a parent or a friend, is the holy name. Yeah. So this is especially in this time of, I mean, no one has any answers to the problems of the world, it seems, isn't it? Everyone's speaking so highly and so as if they have worked out exactly what's going on. They have worked out exactly what the cure is they've ascertained the problem. They know who the demons are. They know, they don't say that word, but everyone is speaking about trying to help so many situations. But the best thing we can, and Prabhupada will speak about that later as well. Sorry,
Hare
Nitai,
Krishna Prabhu. Can I say something, Prabhu?
you can say something. Yes.
I was thinking, Srila Prabhupada said, when the whole world is collapsing, if we have farm communities, we have something to give.
Yeah, we have something to eat as well.
Yeah,
We have
obviously.
something to eat, and we
And,
have something we can
yeah,
give people.
because
food.
everybody will come to our farms looking for jobs. That's what Srila Prabhupada says in the pulpit. That was somewhere I read it.
Yeah,
Every,
Prabhupada says that.
yeah.
Prabhupada says that. I mean, that's why he wanted that as well.
So basically, it's material. Then we have material also to give.
Yeah, ultimately, let's hope we can offer that.
Yeah.
That's one ashram, and that's farm communities. Because if
Yeah.
someone is starving, what preaching are you going to give them?
Exactly.
Not
Yeah.
preaching, if they, I think Prabhupada one time he was mentioned they should honor, you should give them grains, give them food.
Hmm. There's a famous story of Buddha's teachings.
Same as?
It is a same famous story. The Buddha.
Okay,
That
so he taught that principle. First give someone.
Yeah, because somebody came, and so Buddha ordered, please give him to eat first, otherwise he will not get anything. After that, he preached.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I just saw a sentence here which Prabhupada, I already said it, but again, Prabhupada says, contributing or distributing the holy name of the Lord is a sublime example of contributing or giving charity. Yeah, this is the Dati principle. Yeah, and he says we should be ready to receive the holy name as well. Patikranati, people should be willing and ready to receive this transcendental gift. Yeah, and he says about inquiring confidentially, he says one should inquire about the Hare Krishna movement. One shouldn't go online and check out, well, it's dangerous if you go online, you don't know what you might find. But the Hare Krishna is, normally it's a great, actually I might have said before, it's a great it's a great test and a good sign of faith. If someone becomes interested in Krishna and they go online and they get and they still come to a temple after that, they're practically a soul. They're practically a saint. You actually go, because this, you can imagine it. There's so much unpleasant stuff out there that people can read about the so-called ISKCON Hare Krishna movement. But if they get, that's why when people come and they've gone through the internet and they still come and associate temple, that's a really good sign. Anyway, so Prabhupada, interesting, isn't it, how he speaks about inquiring, yam akati, to understand, to associate or to understand the Krishna consciousness movement, and open his mind in order to understand the situation of this material world. Yeah, so that's we have to understand that this material world is I always forget this word, is a conspiracy theory. Yeah, it's not the real place. It's a conspiracy done by Krishna's Mahamaya potency. And it's not the place that we belong. To understand the situation of the material world, yeah, Janma Mrityu Diyavyadi Doko Doshan Udashanam, birth, death, old age, and disease. No matter how much it's dressed up to look attractive, actually, the bottom line is this is what the material world's about. So this is the wonderful gift we can give people. So we have to get them ready to accept that. Anything else on this part before we go on to accepting and receiving Prasadam? That's next. Yeah, anyway, so I'm going on a bit here. Different things are coming to mind, but it's interesting how that's what Prabhupada says. But generally, when this is quoted, generally devotees speak about revealing one's mind to other Vaishnavas, isn't it? And inquiring about the process. Well, that's in the verse. But Prabhupada here, he goes into more of a preaching from the ISKCON as a whole, and people understanding our society and the gift of the holy name. But anyway, let's delve deeper into this purple. So we've run out of hands. We need some
I,
golden hands to be raised.
I can read if
Okay,
nobody wants.
go ahead. I'm just going to turn on some lights here, some floodlights.
The member of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness invites the society's members and supporters to dine with them when they hold love feast in all their branches every Sunday. Many interested people come to honor Prasad, and whenever possible, they invite members of the society to their home and feed them sumptuously with Prasad. In this way, both the members of the society and the general public are benefited. People should give up the company of so-called yogis, gyanis, karmis, and philanthropists because their association can benefit no one. If one really wants to attain the goal of human life, he should associate with devotees of Krishna consciousness movement because it is the only movement that teaches one how to develop love for God. Religion is the special function of human society, and it constitutes the distinction between human society and animal society. Animal society has no church, mosque, or religious system. In all parts of the world, however, downtrodden human society can be there in some system of religion. Even tribal aborigines in the jungle have a system of religion. When a religious system develops and turns into love of God, it is successful, as stated in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 126. The supreme occupation, dharma, of all humanity is that by which man can attend to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self.
Yeah, perhaps we'll
If the,
pause there. Then you
okay,
can continue reading, but just sort of pause there because I think looking down, then Prabhupada goes on to another subject um, here. So this principle of Prasadam, and it's quite unique. I think the ISKCON society is quite unique, although I think it's there in the Sikh tradition. If you go to their temple, you get served Prasadam. And then, it's there in India actually. When I was in India, in South India, there's massive arrangements for Prasadam distribution, isn't there? In
I
these big
think free
temples.
distribution, only the Sikhs have absolute monopoly over it, Prabhu. You will never, ever find that you're not being served prasad.
Yeah, that's I think Prabhupada when he visited the golden, what was it, the golden temple,
Yeah.
main holy place. Then he was very much inspired by their distribution program, and he asked devotees to study it, and then, as far as I understood, to actually do the same. But I was thinking, like in regards to Islam or Christianity, then
No, they don't.
you don't really see that much. They're not gonna. They're like Christian is not gonna invite you to their church, and then there's a big feast. Is a big 10-course feast. Actually, it probably contained all types of unmentionable things if they did. So, but anyways, yeah, Prasadam, it's it's a unique asset of the Krishna conscious movement, and yeah, giving and taking Prasadam. Um,
It,
sumptuously. Yes, so
sorry
Nitai.
for no, I was thinking about Gurudwar. You know,
Yeah,
there
that's
are
the Sikh community.
Sikh
Yeah,
yeah,
Gurudwara.
Gurudwar.
Gurudwar.
In other words, Guru, you know what it is. Dwar means the door.
Those, yeah. Hmm.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
God's door. Going.
Yeah. Hmm, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so Yeah, anything else on this? I mean, Prasadam, we can.
Why is
One call it.
prasad so important?
Well, it's
Because the tummy is
Why
important.
does the sense is just go to prasad all the time? When are we going to be able to control and just have khichdi? I love khichdi, but it's not the point.
yeah. I mean, well, one thing is that prasad means it's offered to Krishna.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Khichdi is
it's like Prabhupada said, it's a secret weapon as well. And I was overhearing a lecture. One devotee was dressing Prabhupada this morning. I was waking the deities, and he was playing a lecture by Devamrita Swami. So as I was waking the deities, I was hearing a lecture, and he was pointing out that that was Prabhupada's tactic in the very beginning, prasadam. Yeah, even he single-handedly would cook a big feast, and serve it as well. And then in the early days, would also wash up after as well. But prasadam, all the hippies would come out, would come after their trips. They they come into the temple and they'd be served this wonderful something they'd probably never seen before. The tastes and the experience of the culture of sitting down and being lovingly implored to eat more. It's not that's culture which a lot of people in the West are not so used to. I don't think it doesn't. They haven't really learnt that spirit of exhibiting or sharing love through the offering of food. So to some degree, but within our culture and other cultures as well, as you mentioned, the Sikhs is there. But that's what Prabhupada did in the beginning. He just gave them prasad, and he didn't mention much about the regulative principles. He just gave them prasadam. Yeah. So also we know that, isn't it? That if someone is kind of beyond instruction, but they're friendly to devotees, but they're a bit of a case, and they're not really hearing much. They're not really capable of doing much. They can't even. We might meet some people, they're kind of like devotees, but they can't even get it together to sweep the temple room. You give them prasad, prasad, and it changes people. There's so many stories. Isn't there? You hear prasad changes devotees' hearts. I mean, there's one. If you want to hear the most amazing story about prasadam, or one of the most amazing stories about prasadam, the Indraduma Maharaj. It's an older lecture he gives. He's given the same lecture 2 or 3 times. One in a monastery where he stays. He stays in a monastery with other because they're traveling Sankirtan, and there's Father Pierre. I might have got the name wrong, but Savannah Radker's nodding her head. She's heard of that, and it's the whole story because they can stay there on the one condition that they don't speak to the other monks. There's no exchange at all. They just sit there. And at breakfast they have like a bowl of soup, an apple, and something else. That's what they have for breakfast, and they mustn't speak. So there's only time they get together. And somehow or another, this Father Pierre, then he secretly becomes inquisitive to find out what this Hare Krishna is all about. When he knocks on the door, and Indra Maharaj doesn't want to let him in because he'd get in trouble, but he insists. So anyway, one thing leads to the other. He starts coming in, listening to the lectures, and then Indra Maharaj, there was a feast at the temple, Balaram Jansi, so he brought the whole feast to the monastery because he went to get books. And he brought a whole feast back, and this Father Pierre, he becomes completely intoxicated by eating all this prasadam. His heart completely melts, and he becomes like a prasadam madman. Anyway, I won't tell the whole story here. I won't be able to, but look online if you want to read it, hear an exciting story about prasadam. Anyway, prasad. Has anyone got any prasadam stories? Any miracle prasadam stories? Oh.
I'm just going to ask about, devotees who are cooking, even devotee breakfast or anything, cooking.
Yeah.
You tend to just cook, just put spices as you just anyway, right? And it's offered to Krishna, and then everybody just loves it. Oh, really nice prasad. It's just how Krishna does it all, Everybody cooks, and, it's just at the end, everybody's saying, such nice prasad. I mean, you just cook normal, just as you cook.
Well, in
Well,
terms if you're an expert
my,
cook,
no, no, no. I'm just
you
saying
are
that,
generally going to get that feedback.
like Krishna does it though. Everybody's prasad. Oh, that.
There's something about the prasad, definitely. And I
Yeah.
always say it's because he's tasted it. That's why it's so good.
Yeah, and there's a wonderful chapter as well in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's called Lord Chaitanya tastes nectar from the lips of Krishna, and this is in Puri, and he's eating the Jagannath Mahaprasad, and he goes into an ecstasy of bhava eating the prasadam, and he's thinking of Krishna and the taste of Krishna's lips from the part from the platform being Radharani, and he goes into this great ecstasy and is appreciating the prasad. He says, "This is just licorice and cumin and seeds, but it's been touched by the lips of Krishna. Therefore, it's extraordinary." So it's good if we can remind ourselves of prasad when we sit down to eat prasadam. So we should respect prasad, isn't it? We should
Mm,
respect. And interesting, you can watch Prabhupada when he takes prasadam. He would generally take on his own, yeah, and he would go into a kind of meditation. Sometimes what he would do. There's pictures, you can see some pictures where he would set up the table of the prasad in such a way that his back is to everyone else. His back is to everyone else in the room if there's any servants there, and he's just alone, relishing in meditation prasadam. He's taken it as a devotional act, a nourishing devotional act, you know. And yeah, and Prabhupada expected devotees, and he talked, and he wanted devotees to learn how to make first-class prasadam. Like Mother Jamuna, Prabhupada gave her blessings, and she took that on where she was traveling with Prabhupada and all his life members' houses, and she would go into the kitchen and note down all the recipes, especially the ones that Prabhupada would say, yes, so you should learn how to make this, you should learn how to make that, you should learn how to make this. And she took it on herself with a notebook. She would go into all these kitchens of all these kind of high class, I think, life members, and learn how their servants and learn how they and their servants cook. And that you'll see in her cookbook, Jumuna's cookbook. She will say, yeah, and I learned this preparation in a house of Seti, and I did this, and this was in Bombay, and Prabhupada told me to learn this preparation. I went into the kitchen. Yeah. And Prabhupada himself was quite like Prasadam as well, very much like Prasadam, but he was always, yeah, he was. I can't recall the detail of the story, but there's stories early on before Prabhupada came to the West, which obviously illustrated his love for Prasadam. Yeah, I think because he was a sannyasi, and sometimes he was invited to someone's house, and they would obviously cook opulent Prasadam, and Prabhupada would play the role of a renounced sannyasi and say, "Oh, this is too much," but then but then when he ate something, he would ask more, more. He would ask, "Bring on more Prasadam." He'd appreciate Prasadam. But also in Prabhupada's purpose, he does speak of, I think I've quoted it here on our group, perhaps before, that we shouldn't eat, we shouldn't overeat in the name of Prasadam as well. So this balance has to be there. Prasadam is wonderful, it's offered to Krishna, but it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean you can make more advancement if you eat 40 gulab jamuns rather than 10. it it doesn't work like that. You can go back to Godhead if you eat 40 gulab jamuns a day rather than 5.
oh, I like
It's
that.
yeah, it's not the same principle. So sometimes the devotional aspect can sometimes be forgotten, and it becomes a tongue aspect, and becomes you're just, and you see that some of the devotees get completely in. Nicely, as what one says, they can forget the devotional principle goes out the window, and it's just, yeah, like I've got this little thing. Sorry, I'm going on a bit, but one of my little things I've got one in the temple. When there's a feast is announced, like so and so, there's going to be a feast cooked today, and before it's even been cooked or offered, before anyone's gone to the kitchen, they're already given the details of what's going to be eaten. Yeah, there's going to be curd sabji, there's going to be this pakoras, there's going to be mint drink, there's going to be gateau cake. And I was thinking, no, you shouldn't give those details. That's for Krishna to be, that's Krishna. It's what we can cook for Krishna. But you can see devotees are salivating already. It's not even been offered yet.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes, if I'm making an announcement at that time, then sometimes I might say, for Krishna, we're going to offer this wonderful feast. And then by Krishna's grace, he's going to just glance at it and take it. And we're going to get the remnants of it. So it's good to try and keep ourselves, to remind ourselves of the sanctity of prasadam. Because it's easily forgotten, especially when, all this opulent prasad comes, then it's like the devotional part takes second seat, and the tongue is going, the tongue is going wild, forgetting that we may be forgetful. You get a lot more benefit. You will enjoy the prasadam better if we respect it in devotional mood, Yeah.
I like when devotees were choosing what prasad they wanted in Prabhupada time. And then he said, well, mix it all up and then just distribute it like that.
Yeah.
Which is good. Otherwise, people like me will go for the sweets,
Yeah, there's one memories video. I forget who
Yeah.
it was, or Mataji. She was when after she served Prabhupada the prasad, she would bring out the remnants, and they go. She'd bring it round to the devotees and they'd say, "Can I have? No, I'll have this. I'll have that. No, I don't want none of that. I'll have this. I'll have that." So I don't know if Prabhupada instructed her, but she wasn't too happy with that. So what she did, after Prabhupada had finished the prasadam, she just mushed it all up, sweets and savouries, into like a big mush, and she took it round, and devotees didn't eat it. Devotees didn't want it, so they couldn't. They'd forgotten the principle of prasad. And there's stories as well, isn't there, where Prabhupada disciples get Prabhupada's prasad that he's cooked, and the remnants as well, and they experience like an instant transformation. It's so potent and so powerful. That prasad that's been made by Prabhupada and offered. I think devotees tell the story of profound effects of that prasad. Saridada Vijajal. Yeah, Tijindiya Kal. Yeah. Alright, anything else about that, prasadam? Sometimes it's questioned, do we know it's prasad or not? There's a whole discussion as well. How do we know it's a prasad or not? That comes up in Didi's worship classes, when does it come prasadam? Because what is it that Krishna accepts? What is Krishna's actually accepting when we offer him prasadam?
Love.
Yeah. Patram puspam phulam tayam, 926. Yomi bhakti pedati. Yeah. So then we ask what we do in our Didi worship class in Mayapur. We get everyone to come to this conclusion that Krishna accepts love. So then we ask, so hands up if you have love for Krishna. Then there's normally silence. Everyone's looking at each other. Now no one's sure whether to put their hand up or not, because generally devotees have a humble disposition. I have no love for Krishna. Yeah. So then how do you know whether Krishna's accepted it or not? Any answers to that? This is a Pujari class I'm giving you now.
How can you have no love for Krishna if you're offering him something?
Spot on. Yeah.
And also, I think in Bhagavad Gita it said, if anybody offers me with love and devotion a leaf or flower or a little water, I will accept it. So yeah, it's love and devotion.
Yeah, Anna, looks like you've got your cooking.
Yeah, I'm multitasking.
Yeah. No, what Anna's saying is, because that's the actual answer. The very fact that you go through, quote unquote, the ritual of actually bringing it forward and offering it, and you're doing it on behalf of your spiritual master, that in itself is a devotional act. Yeah, that's an act of devotion, that you're following the rules and regulations given by the spiritual master to only accept prasadam and to offer it to Krishna. So that following of the rules and regulations and following the vidhi, that's an expression of love. Yeah, you accept this expression. Okay, you may not be overwhelmed with sattva bhav like we've been, like we described in yesterday, but the very fact that you're, before you eat it, the very fact that you're offering it to Krishna, you're following the vidhi, then that's actually an expression of love. And because you're doing it on behalf of the spiritual master, Krishna's going to accept that. Yeah. Well, there's a good chance he would accept it, I could say. There's a very good chance. Because, if you could say, if you burn something, it's okay, I'm going to do the video, I'm going to follow the rules and regulations, I'm going to ring the bell, I'm going to say it's burnt. Don't worry, I'm no, that's the wrong attitude. Then Krishna is not so inclined to, may not be so inclined to accept it. So that's there as well, Yeah, so, thank you, Anna, that's very good. Yeah, coming spot on. Yeah. So that kind of, any other antidotes about prasadam? We have a couple of minutes left. Well, we don't. It's 5:30. Any last antidote on prasadam?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
I think I've had good experience because I've fed prasadam to my Prabhuji and both the children.
Yeah.
Although it's not been great miracle, as in they're not totally following everything, but they are chanting, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All of
that, yeah, that's I
not
was
big. Yeah.
agree with that. That sometimes preaching directly to someone, to try and get them to chant, may be a no-go area. For various reasons, but no one's going to refuse a samosa.
That's yes.
No one's going to refuse, nice prasadam that's cooked, and that in itself will secretly. That's why Prabhupada said it's the secret weapon.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
reminding us of that as a preaching tactic to those you cannot otherwise preach directly to. Then you can, as you're offering it, my dear Lord Krishna, please accept this prasadam. Please may it affect the heart of my husband. Please may it affect. And then the Krishna will smile and take it. Okay,
It's worked miracles, I must say.
it works miracles. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. All right, we'll stop there for today. We'll continue next week with the rest of this purple. 2 or 3 paragraphs left, and look forward tomorrow where we're going to speak about nectar of devotion again, and we're speaking about further analysis of rasas. All right, so get ready for that. We're going to analyze the rasas in relationship to Krishna, primary, secondary, further. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us, and have a wonderful Krishna conscious evening, and look forward to being with you tomorrow. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.